إن الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So I was kind of like juggling whether I should talk about this topic or not because really, I wasn't really comfortable getting involved in this. But certain things happened within the last couple of weeks. I'm like, you know what? Let me just jump in here. And the whole goal of this, hopefully, inshallah, some Islah. That's it, right? And in order to do that, I'm going to have to be a little bit rough with a particular brother, right? So a few weeks ago in Speaker's Corner, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned in my other video that I do watch some of the Speaker's Corner videos. And actually, my favorite speakers at Speaker's Corner are Muhammad Hijab and Shamsi, right? And I watched quite a few of their videos, particularly Muhammad Hijab because the way that his style of making dawah is just incredible. He always quotes ayahs of Quran. He always sticks to the topic. He doesn't jump around. And Shamsi, again, he has like a really nice style for making dawah. Speaker's Corner is not like how it was back in the past. There's like a lot of trolling going on, and people just kind of like running around the park trying to get attention. Oh, I refuted you. I did this. I did that. That's how Speaker Corners is right now. So now, if you notice, like when in the past, when Muhammad Hijab and Shamsi used to debate, the only person that I see that Muhammad Hijab really, really respected ever in any debate was Shamsi. And you could see that, and it was apparent in the way that he was talking to him and the way that they approach each other. It was so crystal clear. And I was like, I was kind of like in awe because in my opinion, Muhammad Hijab, he has like a lot more knowledge than Shamsi, right? However, Shamsi, when it comes to Minhaj, she was like breaking it down and everything like that. It was showed like some ta'awun and brotherhood, and it's like it's made you proud to be Salafi, right? A couple of weeks ago, this kind of all blew up over nonsense, like literal nonsense. Shamsi, as you all know, he went on YouTube and he basically said that he's not with Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab, and they anyway. What they basically, they sit with a Ahlul Bidah and blah blah blah, and it caused a big thing, right? So of course, I'm looking at it like, it's more fitna. I just kind of stay out the fitna, blah, 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 but as weeks go by, you see more videos and more videos and more videos to the point where even people like Nasir Hanbali, who has an amazing channel, like a really good channel, probably the best channel for refutations I think would be, in my opinion, that in the English language would be, that's just my opinion. Maybe some other people have different people, but I really like Nasir Hamdouli's channel, right? And the brother Mufti Munir, right? And Mufti Munir, he's like a giant. He's like no joke. He's no slouch, right? He has like a lot of knowledge, right? So now you have a lot of the youth because a lot of the youth are affected by Shamsi and Ali Dawa because they have some pull. They have these YouTube channels. They're like their channels. So what I'm going to do is going to look at, because Shamsi says he clarified, and really he didn't, bro. It's like honestly he did not, and he should not have gotten involved in this refutation at all. Like if you want to be honest, he shouldn't have. He was wrong. He was straight up wrong, and I'm gonna break it down for you. So, without further ado, let's look into what the brother has said.
To themselves, and we have to be careful. Alhamdulillah, from Allah's mercy upon me, always I tell my brothers, I'm not the person you go back to. I can share some knowledge that I have, but always refer to brothers. If you are in the UK, then there's student of knowledge who are praised by the scholars. Abu Iyad, Abu Hakeem, Abu Idris, Abu Khadeejah, always Tawil, Na'am. And brothers,
Yeah, Abu Khadeejah, are you kidding me? Okay, first of all, Abu Khadeejah. Okay, sorry, man. The brother, he's claiming that the one thing you got to know about Salafis is that the Salafi manhaj is to follow the Quran and the Sunnah and the methodology of the Salaf. We understand this, right? There's not a single Salafi who doesn't understand this. And refutations is actually a part of the religion. We understand this as well. right? But how are you going to say you're going to stick to the ulama? Okay, you're sticking to the ulama, calling the people the scholars. Yeah, ikhwan, we have to stick to the scholars, stick to the kibar, stick to the ulama. And then you mention Abu Riyad, Abu Khadeejah, Bilal. Like, what is going on here? Abu Khadeejah was refuted years ago. Like, years ago. This is like min zaman, like from a long time ago, bro. Like, so long he was refuted. This issue was dead. It's been given janazah, rahimahullah. It's like gone. And you're coming here in 2019 telling the brothers to follow Abu Khadeejah, Bilal Davies. This is such an old issue, bro. Such an old issue. If you're really Salafi and you're really calling to the Kibar Ulema, like you say you are, why don't you tell the people, listen to the statements of Waseeullah Abbas, mention them by name, with a clear, crystal clear refutation. Why don't you tell them to listen to the statements of Muhammad Madkhalee? Why don't you tell them to listen to the statements of Sheikh Usamah Utaybi about Hasan Somali, where Sheikh Usamah Utaybi clearly said Hasan Somali is murid and maftoon and kadhab. So who's kadhab now? Who's a liar? Is Sheikh Usamah Utaybi or Sheikh Sheikh? Or is it Sheikh Usamah Utaybi or is it Hasan Somali? Who's lying? You call yourself Salafi, and you know who says I'm Salafi? I'm gonna call to the ulama and says yes and go seek knowledge from Abu Khadeejah. Who does that? Abu Khadeejah and Hasan Somali. 2019. This is the best you can do, bro. And not only that, let me tell you something, brother Shamsi. Okay, you are an Arab. You are an Arab. You know Arabic. Why are your teachers like these ajnabi people? I don't understand that. You can go directly to the ulama. Don't you have any haya? You don't have any haya for yourself? You know, you don't need these people. You literally can pick up the phone and call any alim and say, "Ya Sheikh," ask them questions like this. You can read from the books themselves. And you're telling people go seek knowledge from Abu Khadeejah. I understand. Anyway, for those of you who are like really Salafi, like, and you really love the Salafi manhaj, and you have some ghira for the Salafi manhaj, right? And you believe that you should actually follow the ulama, then follow the ulama and don't play around. Don't mess around. Shaykh Waseeullah Abbas said so many years ago, don't seek knowledge from Abu Khadeejah and Bilal Davies. If they're speaking, don't take knowledge from them. He said this so long ago. You're following the ulama, and you're still going to seek. This is what happens when you seek knowledge from these people. Because Shaykh Waseeullah Abbas, he called it to a T. He said if you follow them, you're going to have mistakes in manhaj. You're going to be refuting people. There's so many statements from the ulama refuting SPUBS. Like the ulama, not the kibar ulama. Okay, not no little rinky dinks. Okay, refuting SPUBS and their teachers. And they're mentioning them by name. So if you're really Salafi, what are you going to do now? You're going to follow these small guys? You're going to follow the Kibar Ulama with Sheikh Waseeullah Abbas? Mention them by name. Sheikh Usamah Utaybi? Mention them by name. Right? If you're really Salafi, follow the ulama. Then Sheikh Saalih Suhaimee? Mention them by name. Okay? Sheikh Muhammad Madkhalee refuted the Sa'afika. He's the one who gave them the name Sa'afika. Right, and the Sa'afika actually describes them perfectly. It's a perfect description for them. So if you're going to be Salafi, then be Salafi, man. Where our religion is not based upon personalities. Our religion is based upon principles. You know, and nobody's stopping them from not refuting people, not getting into the refute. They just continue and persist. And that persistence now leads themselves astray and leads other people astray. And that's where the brother Shamsi is right now.
And brothers, let me clarify something against someone who lied. This person who lied against Abu Khadeejah, Abdul Wahid, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, he cannot read the Quran and this and that. So, for the sake of argument, they were scholars of the past. They were not perfect. Some of them couldn't even speak Arabic properly. But they have correct aqidah, correct methodology. So doesn't mean he's not, doesn't mean he makes mistakes in something. You have mistakes in aqidah manhaj, my brother. And you kept talking about Quran.
At this point right here, I strongly disagree with. Strongly. If we don't, where do we think we get our Aqidah from? Yeah, Shamsi. If it's not the Quran. Where do you think we get our manhaj from if it's not the Quran? Sheikh Mukbil rahimahullah, he used to ask his students, what is the best book for Aqidah? What's the best book for Tawheed? And some of the students, they used to say, Kitab al-Tawheed, right? Because it's like a trick question. He always said it was the Quran. It's the Quran. So if somebody comes to you and tells you that, you can't recite the Quran properly, blah, 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 what you should be saying is you should be taking that as a point to actually learn the Quran. Because we get our Aqidah from the Quran, we get Tawheed from the Quran, we get our manhaj from the Quran. The Quran is the foundation. And this is actually one of the points that Ahlul Bid'ah, they always point to the Salafis. The Salafis, they don't learn Quran. And let me ask you a question. You're in that Maktab Salafiyyah there in Britain, right? That small place or whatever, with your teachers, Abu Khadeejah and Abu Yad and like this. How many Hufaz do you have over there? How many people have memorized the Quran front to back? How many people that know the seven Qira'at? Be real. Because if you're Salafi, you're going to be taking care of the Quran. I never met a single alim except that they wake up in the third of the night, they pray to Hajj, they recite the Quran and they're making dhikr, and they're very pious people. Is this you? But let's say, for example, that you're correct, right? And that people are just saying Quran, 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 and then there's Aqidah and manhaj as it comes first and blah, 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 like this. Let's say this all like what you're saying is, let's say I agree with you on that. Then why didn't you apply the same principle to Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab? You're saying that you claim that they don't have the correct manhaj. Did you establish this? Number one. And number two, in reality, who are you? Are you the vanguard of the Sunnah? Like, who are you? Where did you study? Jahr wa Ta'dil is for the Ulema. It's not for some guy on Speaker's Corner to make a Jahr of people, right? If you had ikhlas in the Jahr that you gave, then what you would have done is that you would have brought the issues to an alim, clarified to the people, and said, okay, these are the issues, blah, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the ulama, they're generally not like that anyway. They will correct the mistakes, and it takes them a long time to just go and say, they want to see some like proof that nobody can deny. And all you came with was that he sits with the people of ulama and he promotes the innovators. And we're going to show that, inshallah, that this is not from the manhaj of the Salaf. That's just not. You have to have some very, very clear, crystal clear proofs, and not some obscure positions because you don't like, for example, Yusuf Estes. Right? And Yusuf Estes, he did make mistakes for sure, 100%. He did make mistakes in Aqidah, no doubt. But we're going to get to that in a minute.
In America, you have Musa Richardson, you have Hasan Somali, you have Omar Queen, you have al-Hamami here in Britain likewise. Likewise, before that, the scholars. Ahl al-Ilm. Go back to scholars, may Allah bless you all. Wallahi, what I see now in the West, they bring in is a new wave. Bringing new young people, call him Sheikh. Just to deceive the people. So, alhamdulillah, we are upon a clarity. Radiya man radiya wa sakhita man sakhit. If you want to be pleased, be pleased. If you're not happy, then don't be happy. You're not going to help me. Alhamdulillah. If there any correction or something, you got me.
Tayyib. So, over here, the brother, he mentioned Abdullah al-Hamami, he mentioned Musa Richardson, he mentioned Hasan Somali, and then he says, but before them, go to the scholars. That's what he said, right, the brother. Up until now, I've listened to like a lot of your lectures, and up to now, I haven't heard you mention not a single scholar up in this whole thing, right? Maybe I missed it, right? So don't come and tell me, no, this brother is lying. No, right? I've just personally, I have not heard you mention any ulama. You mentioned all these actually the only one I respect out of all of them that you mentioned is probably Musa Richardson, because I know that this brother, he has some knowledge. I know he's studied, right? But the rest of them, where'd they study? Where? Furthermore, going back to the scholars really means going back to the scholars, right? Like I mentioned, Sheikh Waseeullah Abbas, he already refuted them a long time ago. I'm gonna leave the link in the box so everybody can see. And as a matter of fact, if you, my Salafi brothers, are watching this, right, and you love Shamsi, like actually, to be honest, I love Shamsi. I love the brother, right? For the sake of Allah, he does amazing work, but he's just wrong here, like wrong and strong. And on top of that, I don't know if he knows about these refutations that were already done on SPUBS, like from years back, right? But I'll just put it out there for him, right? He can read it or he can listen to it. And the brother should not be involved in refutations. That the Shaykh Waseeullah Abbas, he advised us not to get involved in refutations, rather seek knowledge. And once you start down this path, all you're going to do is follow up the mistakes of people. That's all you're going to be doing. Look at this one's mistake. Oh, look, he said this, he said that. And then the reputations are just so, like, ridiculous. Yeah, if you see some of the reputations that people put out there, right? And it makes the Salafis look ridiculous. That's the worst part. It makes the Salafis look terrible because the refutations are not scholastic. They're very vague. So you're sitting with Ahlul Bid'ah. And these brothers, they have catchphrases, and they catch the people with all these catchphrases. Like, for example, you must sit with the ulama, you must seek knowledge from the ulama, you must stick with the people of Sunnah, and such said, stick with the people of Sunnah, and the Sunnah Islam, and Islam is a Sunnah, like this, and all these different catchphrases, like the Khawarij had at the time of Ali ibn Talib. You must rule by what Allah came with. You must rule by with the Quran and the Sunnah. And if you don't rule by the Quran and the Sunnah, then the one who doesn't rule by the Quran and the Sunnah is a kafir. It's the same thing. It's just catchphrases. When it comes to the application, the practical application of it, it's a different story. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was not like this. The Sahaba were not like this. Never. Right? Even the ulama, they're not like this. They're not going to refute a person like Ali Dawa. Ali Dawa is just some guy on speakers' corners. They're going to go after their heads. They're going to go after the heads of Ahlul Bid'ah. Not some random dude. All this did is confuse the youth, because the youth are watching Ali Dawa. They don't know who the ulama is. Let's be real. The majority of the youth, they don't know who the ulama are, right? And up until now, you haven't clarified who the ulama are. And there's so many translations of the ulama, they're not listening to them. Rather, they're listening to brothers like Shamsi and Ali Dawa and the likes. And, so what you have to do is guide them to the ulama, not Abu Khadeejah. Abu Khadeejah, Hasan Somali, come on, bro.
Then, so 4 years promoting this, bringing Yusuf Estes. Yusuf Estes, who is a person, alhamdulillah, Allah guide him to Islam. Doesn't mean he become Muslim, khalas, you have to promote him. Man, he believes Aqidah al-Jahmiyyah. He was corrected, he insists upon that. He was corrected by Brother Musa Richardson, not by me. Alhamdulillah, I know my level. Wallahi, by Allah's tawfiq, I know my level. ما like him as khalas. He was corrected by other students, but he insists upon that. And he made a lot against Musa Richardson and the brothers out there in America.
Type. So, I want to say like about a year or so ago, like a while ago anyway, Yusuf Estes, he came up with this idea that what we have, like for example, this mushaf here, right? He's saying this is mushaf. It's not the Quran. He said this is mushaf. It's not the Quran. The Quran is an Allahu Mahfuz with Allah in Jannah, right? This is what he said. Tayyib. Number one, the Jahmiyyah, they didn't believe this. This is the first point. The Jahmiyyah, they believed that the Quran was created, and it was a massive fitna at the time. At the time of Imam Ahmad, even though they started this belief way before, right? It became a very big thing, and it was an inquisition on it and everything. Many of you might already know about this, right? They started saying that the Quran is khalq Allah. It was created by Allah, right? That's what they said. So at the very minimum, what we can say about Yusuf Estes, he's just an old man who's making da'wah. This man was a legit Christian minister for many, many years, longer than you've even been alive, Shamsi. Longer than you've been alive, right? At the very minimum, this is su'adab, because this is an old man who became Muslim in his old age. So he's going to have some misunderstandings about the religion for sure, lashak. And you're saying Musa Richardson. Musa Richardson is like a child to Yusuf Estes. At the very minimum, this mistake, how does it affect the people? Do you see anybody running around talking about, oh yeah, and we don't have the real Quran, what we have is Mus'haf, right? And furthermore, this mistake, really, when you go into what Yusuf Estes actually said, he made a mistake based upon what the seller said. That's the reality, right? The seller said in this inquisition, they said that the paper is created, the ink is created, but the words of Allah itself is not created. Somehow he took this and made something else, right? That's it. It's a mistake. Where are the Jahmiyyah today? Where are they? Are there any Jahmiyyah today? You see them? There are no Jahmiyyah today. There aren't. The only ones who have their manhaj today are the Ash'ariyah. They are the ones who have the manhaj of the Jahmiyyah. But in terms of saying the Quran is created, they don't exist. There are only two groups in Islam, in the dunya, that have this belief. Okay, the Zaydiyah, right, in Yemen, and the Ibadiyah. Those groups, they're not making da'wah, number one. They're not calling people to Islam, and they hold the belief that the Quran is created. Right? But nobody says that the Zaydiyah and the Ibadiyah are Jahmiyyah. Right? At the very minimum, you can say this is a mistake. It's easy to correct the mistake anyway. I've seen so many videos on YouTube that the people who are talking about Yusuf Estes, like su'adab. This man he's an old man. Old man. And yes, he made a mistake for sure, 100%. But you're going to talk about him and this jahil, and yeah, he doesn't know, for sure, he doesn't have a lot of knowledge, but he's bringing a lot of people to Islam, which is more important. Correct the mistake, it's no problem. Correct the mistake. He made a mistake. The Shaykh is wrong. Yusuf Estes is wrong in this point, but let him continue to make da'wah. I mean, there's so many people you can refute, like so many, and you out of all the people like Yusuf Estes, bro, come on, man. That's like some old man in the States who used to be a Christian minister, and he's talking to like Christians in the South. And if you notice, the Bible Belt in the South there in the States is like no joke. Those people love their Bible. He came from that background. And you want to smash him for saying this? Correct the mistake and let him make da'wah, akhi. We all make mistakes. What's the problem? Now, we continue.
He accused them that they made takfir on him. That's a different subject anyway. So that's one time I remember that. So anyway, but after that, I still speak to him. The fact that happened last year, and you still see this guy coming to my videos. Even last time I was speaking to Paperboy, he came, and he was getting involved, and he was trying to help me, but I never made a video against him. That was last summer. We were together talking. But what? So 4 years, speaking nice, advising him. However, people out there getting confused. One side, Ali that were promoting people of deviation, misguided people, the likes of Haytham Haddad, who supports Sayyid Qutb, who is a person who makes takfir on the Muslims and the Muslim leaders. Likewise, Hassan al-Banna. Okay, these misguided people. On the other side, they see me with him on the videos. Thinking, hold a minute, what's going on? So people ask me many questions. So I said, you know what, is it time to clarify? So what happens, Speaker's Corner now, I made a video clarifying that I'm not with Ali Dawa. I have nothing to do with Ali Dawa. In Speaker's Corner, the nature of Speaker's Corner, people get mixed. Now, but alhamdulillah, I have many videos clarifying, but those who speak in Speaker's Corner, I don't know none of them who are Salafi except Anwar.
Now, so the first time I heard of Haytham Haddad, actually, it was from a refutation of him done by Dawa man. So I watched this refutation. I was like, you know, I was like, this refutation is like, it's not good. It wasn't a good refutation anyway. It was like something that Dawa man should not have got involved. Put it that way. And he basically, what he did is that he took a meeting that Haytham Haddad had with a bunch of Rafida Shia. And he's like, look at this man. Look how he's sitting with the people of Bid'ah. Look at he's sitting with the Rafida Shia like this. And I was looking at, okay, the brother, he shouldn't have done that, right? He overstepped his bounds there, right? I left it at that, right? I'm pretty sure Haytham Haddad, he could take care of himself. So anyway, when you look into the situation, when you look further into that situation, Haytham Haddad, he was actually making dawah to the Shia and calling them to the Sunnah, right? So I personally, I don't know much about him. I just watched a couple of videos after that, and I can see where people will say that he's Ikhwani, to be honest, right? But I personally, I can't go and say now, Haytham Haddad, he's Ikhwani like this. I can't, because he has knowledge. He sat with some ulema, right? And this is a job for the ulema. It's simple as that, right? This is something that the ulema, if you really want to prevent this person from making dawah, get the ulama involved and see what they say, right? You have to know your manzala. You have to know your position in life, right? The sheikh, he has a lot more knowledge than any of us, really, right? And furthermore, let's say, for example, that Ali Dawa, he's sitting with Haytham Haddad, and Haytham Haddad is Ikhwani, right? First point, did any of the ulama refute Haytham Haddad? Did anybody from who's known for Jahwa Ta'dil, not you, Shamsi, like somebody who is seriously known for, like, in a serious manner that people respect, refute Haytham Haddad? Number one. Number two, instead of refuting Ali Dawa, why don't you go directly to the head of the snake and refute Haytham Haddad? That would make more sense. Because Ali Dawa was nobody. I don't think any alim would be like, oh yeah, and Ali Dawa is Ikhwani. I don't think so. He's nobody. Who is Ali Dawa? Ali Dawa is just some guy who's talking to kuffar on the street and trying to make Muslims. You think an alim is going to refute him for that? You know, there's Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "An Sayyid al-Khudri, an Rasulullah ﷺ, la darara wa la darar." La darara wa la dirar, right? Don't harm the people and don't reciprocate harm. Okay, this hadith, this Hasan is in Daraqutni and Ibn Majah and others, right? What you did it cause harm or did it cause benefit? Think about it. You have the youth now, they're involved now in al-ghiba, right? When I was posting some comments online about this thing, and then some youth, he replied back to me, and I just kind of like played it. But the brother, he accused me of being with Ihya Turath, and he accused me all kinds of silly things, right? Silly things that are just not true, right? They're not true, right? But this is the consequences of this type of thing, Akhi. Right? And you will have to answer to Allah Yawm Qiyamah about that. Allah says in the Quran, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. That whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Every single person that got involved in the ghiba because of this, it directly reflects directly on you, Yam Shamsi. Because you did not follow the minhaj of the Salaf in refuting. You didn't. And you caused much more harm than good. Brother, you're saying that you advised the brothers for 4 years about these issues, okay? You have to know your mental, akhi. Who are you? Who are you really? Why would they have to, why are they obliged to listen to your advice? You have to think about that. Why is anybody obliged to listen to your advice? Have you studied anywhere? Have you memorized hadith? Have you memorized Quran? Have you gotten the ijazah for anywhere? You know, you have to think about these things, Yahi, before you go start refuting people. You have to actually earn a level of respect before you start refuting. Like Sheikh Rabia did, like Sheikh Mukbil did, like Sheikh Ahmed Najmi did, like Sheikh Muhammad Al-Mana Jami did, rahimahumullah, on all of them. Right? They earned a level of knowledge first, then they helped the Ummah tremendously with their refutations. And to be honest, we can't do without those refutations of those shaykh, because they protected the ummah from fitna of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin and the Sufiya and Brother Shamsi and all the other Salafi youth that I want you guys to see something, okay? In terms of SPUBS and Abu Khadeejah are probably the most advised people probably in the history of Islam. I mean, there are so many people, even on YouTube. Sincere advice to SPUBS, sincere advice to Troy, sincere advice to Abu Khadeejah. Watch, I'm going to show you something, okay? Watch. Sincere advice to SPUBS. Watch this. Look at this. Sincere advice to Abu Khadeejah and others. Abu Usama. Dr. Bilal Phillips. Sincere advice to Salafi Publications. Detroit. Abu Usama again. Advice to Salafi Publications. Ustad Abdul Rahman. Forgive and Forget. Ramadan. Advice to SPUBS. Asrar Rashid. Abu Taymiyyah. Okay? Advice to SPUBS and their tales. End of Oppression. Abu Taymiyyah again with some ulema there. Okay? Abu Ibrahim Hussein Hussein on Salafi Publications. Who else? Sheikh Waseeullah Abbas, exposing the mentions of SPUBS and Salafi Publications. Why do Salafi Publications behave that way? This is Mufti Munir and others, and Salafi Publications agenda exposed it. Like, they are probably the most advised Muslims ever I've ever seen ever. Why do you think so many people are coming and advising them? Because they hate them? No, because back in the day when the Dawa started in the West, these brothers were at the forefront, so they have some love for them. They have some love for them because a lot of people left Hizbiyah and Sufiya because of these brothers. So I have love for them. But they've gone overboard, bro. They've gone overboard. So how long can you keep respecting people who don't respect the dawah? They don't respect the ulama. They don't respect the manhaj. Refuting, encouraging the youth to refute people like Ali Dawa and calling it Salafiyyah. Come on, you're making Salafiyyah look like a joke, Who else does this? Find some random person off the street, some young youth, and say we got to refute this person because he's sitting with Ahlul Bidah. This is not the Salafi manhaj, ya akhi. Salafi, if you're going to refute the heads, the big people, the head honchos, not some random guy off the street. Salafi is not a joke. The manhaj is not a joke, and the religion is not a joke, right? All these brothers, for years, sincere advice, and so many years. And it's because they have love for those brothers, not because they hate them, because they respect them. Right? So you got to take a position now. Which position are you going to take? Going to take the position of the ulama, or are you going to take the position of SPUBS? Okay, so now let's go to the next part. Okay, so now for the brother Nasir al-Hanbali, Hafidahullah, I just wanted to mention something that he did because he got himself involved in this as well. And to be honest, like I said, Nasir al-Hanbali has probably, in terms of the refutation, says this is the best. But I want to comment on some of the points that he made on the brother Abu Sumayya, Muhammad Osman. Okay, so we'll watch.
Thing. Even when I was in Medina, you know, my mashayikh would speak about them. Sheikh Usamah rahimahullah ta'ala, one of my mashayikh, Sheikh Al-Afifi, who's one of his students, he actually recorded a cassette of Sheikh Usamah just literally weeks before he passed away. He was explaining one of the books, and he recorded him mentioning these people by name, the figureheads of this group by name. Yeah, they're known as the Madkhalee. We can say this, right?
Yeah.
They're known as the Madkhalee, and he recorded him mentioning these people by name, the figureheads of this group by name. Yeah, they're known as the Madkhalee. We can say this, right?
Yeah.
They're known as the Madkhalee. They're known as the Madkhalee. We can say this, right?
Yeah.
They're known as the Madkhalee.
Okay, so that's the first point. And we will go to the second and the third that he has against them.
Yeah, they're known as the Madkhalee. We can say this, right?
Yeah.
They're known as the Madkhalee, and they're also known as the Jamia, reference to Sheikh Muhammad Aman Jami, alayhi rahmatullah, and Madkhalee based on attributed to Sheikh Muhammad bin Hadi, Muhammad Rabi' al-Madkhalee, Allah yahfadhu, and a few other things. Obviously.
Okay. So after this, the brother Nasir al-Hanbali, he goes through a bunch of different statements of the Ulema, defending Sheikh Rabi', you know, refuting the claim of Madkhalee and Jamia, right? So a couple of things first with the brother Nasir. Number one, the brother Muhammad Osman, he's not the only Salafi to actually say this. And for sure, 100%, it's a mistake that the Salafis made. Because the names Madkhalee and Jamia are so widespread that even Salafis start calling each other these names. And I remember specifically when I was in Medina, and when I was in the Damaj, right, I heard with my own ears that Allah created for me, right, Salafis, right, calling these groups Madkhalee and Jami. They're not Ikhwani, they're not Takfiri, none of that. They are Salafi, right? That's what they said. And they still respect Muhammad al-Aman al-Jami, and they still respect Sheikh Rabi' bin Hadi al-Madkhalee. Which this brother Muhammad Usman, he respects Sheikh Rabi' and he respects Muhammad al-Aman al-Jami, right? But this is the term that he adopted because so many people are calling this group Madkhalee and Jami, right? Mostly Madkhalee, right? Because, you know, Muhammad al-Aman al-Jami is dead now, so Sheikh Rabi', he's still alive, right? It's a mistake, khata, right? However, if you want to follow the madhab of the Salaf, right, then what you want good for the brother, right? You know how easy it is to get in contact with Muhammad Usman? He's one of the easiest people on the planet to contact, and he's so easy to talk to. And if you had just contacted him or called him or asked him a question, right, he would have answered and he would actually listen to you because he's a very humble person, right? But instead, you opted to go out like guns blazing, like full force, like all jaws into the neck of this guy, bro. That's not right, man. That's not right. If the brother made a mistake, call the brother and then give him the opportunity to correct the mistake. And 100%, you will correct it if he believes you're correct. 100%. But you went and gone like all guns, cocks, all this kadab, this, that. Like, yeah, actually, come on, man. But you seen, you yourself, you translated for Muzammil al-Fakiri. You seen how he does refutations, right? You have to do refutations on a scholastic level, right? You can't kick somebody out of Salafiyyah because they call those Africa Madkhalee.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम शेख, कैसे हैं आप?
अल्लाह का शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
शेख, एक दो चीज़ें आपसे पूछनी थी शेख।
जी।
अक्सर हमारे नौजवान तबके में देखा जाता है कि शेख रबी की बड़ी बेहुरमती करते हैं और मदखली कह के लोगों को चिढ़ाते हैं। तो बस मेरा सवाल ये है कि उलमा के नज़दीक शेख रबी का मुकाम और मर्तबा क्या है?
वो कौन लोग हैं, कौन से नौजवान हैं? असल अहले हदीस हैं या बिदाती हनफी जो जल भुन करके जिस पढ़ रहे होंगे वो हैं? बताइए।
शेख, बदकिस्मती ये है कि
शाफई है,
نہیں یہ اپنے آپ کو سلفی کہتے ہیں، اہل حدیث کہتے ہیں اپنے آپ کو.
یعنی وہ اپنے اردو کے انڈیا وغیرہ کے ہیں یا ادھر عرب ممالک کے ہیں؟
نہیں انڈیا کے ہیں، انڈیا پاکستان کے ہیں.
جی. تو کچھ لوگ بہرحال کچھ بن جاتے ہیں، آپ پہلے سے جانتے ہیں ان کو؟
جی جی ہاں میں جانتا ہوں ان کو.
یعنی اہل حدیث ہیں پرانے؟
پرانے اہل حدیث تو نہیں ہے شیخ، یہ بعد میں اہل حدیث ہوئے ہیں، مگر اب ان کا مسئلہ ایسا ہو گیا کہ شیخ ربی کو کچھ بھی بولتے ہیں، مدخلی کہہ کے چڑھاتے ہیں لوگوں کو.
بیچارہ یعنی مجبور ہے عقل سے، پڑھے لکھے تو ہے نہیں، کتنے دن کا رہوں.
جی جی
تو ان کو عقل سے مجبور سمجھیے. کہیے کیوں مدخلی کا معنی کیا سمجھا آپ نے؟ بیچارے مقلد ہے. کہیے آپ تقلید نہ کرو، آپ سلفیت کو کہتے ہو، کس بنا پر مدخلی نام رکھتے ہو؟ بس ایک لفظ پوچھو، کس بنا پر مدخلی نام رکھتے ہو؟
جی جی
بس ان سے آپ پوچھیں ایسے بڑے آرام سے. لڑائی جھگڑے کی باتیں، اور اگر لڑائی جھگڑا کرنا چاہیں تو آپ ان کو دو تھوک کر کے پھینک دیجیے.
جی جی
شیخ ربی بہت بڑے عالم ہیں، اچھے ہیں. رہی بات بہت سے لوگوں کو نہیں پسند ہے، کیونکہ وہ لوگ جماعت اسلامی کے ہیں، وہ لوگ اخوانی ذہن کے ہوتے ہیں. تو اب شیخ ربی نے سب کا بنیاد توڑی ہے اس وجہ سے. سید قطب وغیرہ کے بارے میں لکھا ہے سب. تو یہ لوگ اصل اہل حدیث نہیں ہیں، خالی اپنے بنے ہیں، یا تو اپنے اہل حدیث ظاہر کر کے اور اپنا مسلک پھیلانا چاہتے ہیں علماء سے دور کر کے لوگوں کو. بہت سے ایسے ہیں.
جی جی بہت بہت شکریہ شیخ. شیخ آپ سے ایک اجازت لینا چاہتا ہوں کہ کیا میں یہ بات لوگوں کو بتا سکتا ہوں؟ آپ نے جو بات بتائی ہے
آپ اپنی طرف سے، جو ہم نے کوئی نئی بات نہیں بتائی ہے، آپ ان سے پوچھئے کہ آپ مدخلی کیوں کہتے ہیں. کیا وہ بدعتی ہیں؟ کیا وہ جماعت تبلیغی کے ہیں؟ کیا وہ اخوانی ہیں؟ کس وجہ سے آپ کہہ رہے ہیں؟ تب ظاہر ہوگا. ان سے پوچھئے کہ ہم آپ کی بات سنتے ہیں لیکن سمجھ نہیں پاتے، ہم سمجھنا چاہتے ہیں ایک طالب علم کے حیثیت سے. اپنی طرف سے آپ پوچھئے.
جی 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 جی
اور اگر مطلب یہ کہیے کہ تم لوگوں سے پوچھا جائے، پوچھئے آپ کیوں مدخلی ان کو کہا جاتا ہے. نہیں جانتے ہیں، تقلید ہے، آپ ان سے کہیں تقلید نہ کرو، صحیح بات بتاؤ کیا وجہ ہے.
جی جی
تو خود وہ ظاہر ہو جائیں گے.
جی جی
یا تو جماعت اسلامی کے ہوں گے، مولانا مودودی پر تو انہوں نے لکھا ہے اچھی طرح.
جی جی
تو یہ سب چیزیں ہیں. جی جی
ماشاء اللہ. جزاک اللہ خیر شیخ. اللہ آپ کو صحت دے، اللہ آپ کو اور عافیت دے.
Okay, so here we see that Sheikh Waseeullah Abbas was asked the same question about, calling people the Madkhalee like this. And we see that the questioner said that these people say that they're Salafi. They said that they're Salafi. All right, so the Shaykh Waseeullah, he asked some probing questions. What is it why are they saying this? This is what you should have done. Why are you saying that it's okay to call them Madakhila or Jamia? You should have asked that first before going in the Kazab, come on, bro. And actually, this cassette with Sheikh Usamah, it actually does exist. It actually does exist, and more than one person has talked about this cassette and heard it, and there's some excerpts on it even online, where you can clearly hear Sheikh Usamah, rahimahullah, he's saying it's better not to call yourself Salafi. And Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تحاسدوا ولا تناجشوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا ولا بيع بعضكم على بيع بعض وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه ولا يخذله ولا يكذبه ولا يحكره. التقوى هنا بحسب أمر من الشر أن يحكر أخاه المسلم. كل مسلم على مسلم حرام دمه وماله وعرضه. رواه المسلم. The Messenger of Allah, on authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, said the Messenger of Allah sallam, said, do not envy one another, and do not inflate the prices on one another, and do not hate one another, and do not turn away from one another, and do not undercut and trade from one another, but rather be slaves of Allah, brothers amongst yourselves. The Muslim is the brother of a Muslim. He does not oppress him, nor does he fail him, nor does he lie to him, nor does he hold him in contempt. The taqwa is here, and he pointed his heart. The taqwa is here. The taqwa is here. It is evil enough for a man to hold his brother, his Muslim brother, in contempt. The whole of a Muslim is haram. It's inviolable. It's whole of a Muslim is haram. It's inviolable to another Muslim. His blood, his property, and his honor. So protect the honor of your Muslim brothers. And do not hold your brothers in contempt. If he has some mistakes, do everything you can to correct their mistakes. Not embarrass them on the internet, ya akhwan. So I hope that the brothers, if I said anything to offend you, that I hope you forgive me. But I feel that it had to be said. I will still be watching Shamsi. I will still be going to Nasir al-Hanbali's channel and checking him out. And I hope that, inshallah, we can be brothers. And if you do find it necessary to refute people, refer it back to the Ulema and don't try to do it yourself. And I will leave you with this story. In the 90s, I want to say in the 90s and the early 2000s, like even late 80s, early 90s, this was like, I want to say it's the golden age of the Salafi Dawa in the West. Many of the brothers came forward, including brothers like Abu Khadeejah and like this, and Dawood Adib and Abu Muslima and Abu Usamah and Abu Awais, rahimahullah. And all these brothers came and they started clarifying the Salafi Dawa at this time. And so many people became Salafi because they were refuting the Sufis and they were refuting Ikhwan al-Muslimin. And the Dawa became so crystal clear. And I remember one time this brother was telling me this story. He told me this with his own mouth, right? That one time he went to one of these masajid here in Toronto. I live in Ottawa now, but in Toronto, big masjid there. And there was another brother. I won't mention their names or anything like that, but you know, they basically, the Salafi Dawa was spreading, and this brother, he was a Sufi, right? And they had run-ins with this guy before, and they started, you know, breaking down the problems with Sufiya. So one day, this brother, the Sufi brother, was teaching in this masjid, and these brothers walked into the masjid. Right, the Salafi brothers, they walked into this masjid and they saw the Sufi, right? He's teaching in the masjid. The Sufi saw them, right? The Sufi was teaching, okay? The Sufi saw the Salafis. He quickly said salam to the brothers he was teaching. He got up and he ran like the wind to the exit. I started laughing, you know? Salafi was very, very strong back then. And then what happened? The fitna happened, where there's a big fitna with Abu Hassan al-Ma'ribi. And then the Salafis started refuting each other. And I remember before this happened, Hamza Yusuf came to Toronto. And Hamza Yusuf, as we all know, he's a Sufi, right? But in those days, he couldn't say that he was Sufi. So when he came to Toronto, because the Salafi Dawa was growing, and the Salafis were saying that Hamza Yusuf was Sufi. So when he came to Toronto, and I swear by Allah, I went to see Hamza Yusuf, and everybody had to write the questions. And wallahi, my question was the first question, and he picked it up, and I had, ikhlas and ihtiram in my question. We've been listening to you so many years, and we respect you and everything like that. And it's a long, I just building it up. And then at the end, I asked him, are you a Sufi? And then he said, no, I'm not a Sufi. Okay, khalas, that's the first question. The next question, same thing. Are you a Sufi? No, I'm not a Sufi. The third question, same thing. 3 questions for are you a Sufi? People are saying you're a Sufi. He goes, no, I'm not a Sufi. I'm not. This, wallahi, he said this. He said this. Now, Sufiya is growing so fast because of This very thing we're telling you about, refuting the Salafis. Instead of turning your attention to the real Ahlul Bid'ah, you weaken the Salafis and you make the true Ahlul Bid'ah much stronger because of this very thing that you're doing. And if you keep doing it, then all you're going to do is make the Salafi Dawa weak. And you're going to make it look like a joke. That's the reality. Because that's how the people see us. How many Salafis left Salafiyyah because of treachery? Pure treachery. Brothers looking for brothers' mistakes. Looking to see their statements. Catch following up on their statements. Oh, he said this. Oh, he said that. Oh, he went to this masjid. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's, So many people left. Wallahi, what happened to Abu Muslim's masjid is a shame. It's a shame. A massive masjid like that with so much going on in the community. Destroyed. Totally destroyed. So when you make refutations, you have to balance the harm and the benefit. Because many people were destroyed by this type of dawah, this type of, nobody's denying the need for refutations, but we refute when we actually need it. And the brother Shamsi, you don't need to be doing refutations. Well, why? You need to be studying. You have the ability, you have the Arabic language, you have the ability to speak, you have the ability to actually get some real knowledge and benefit the people. Why are you learning from Abu Khadeejah? It's beyond me. How many Arabs are sitting at the feet of English speakers to learn Islam? And you're Arab. Does that make any sense? And Nasir, al-Hanbali, you really jumped the gun on the brother Muhammad because you don't know him. And if you were fair in that refutation, you would have posted the amount of teachers the brother Muhammad has. And if you're really fair, you would have called him up. It's because I will lie, it's easy to reach the brother. It's easy to reach the brother. You could have called him up and said, yeah, Akhi, I want good for you, and I want good for the Muslims, and I want the da'wah to be strong, but I think you made a mistake here, and here's why, and here's what this sheikh said, and this sheikh said, and this sheikh said, and he would accept it. Believe me, he would accept it. But the way that you did it, bro, was wrong, 100% wrong. So I hope the brothers hear my advice, and make it. Ramadan is coming up. I'm gonna make a dua for you guys and the ummah. And I hope we can be brothers after this and no hard feelings, no anything like that. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.